Have you ever fallen out of love with a sport you've played for years? Personally, I have. I've cheered for 8 years and had 7 different coaches, and the current coach has finally made me start to drift my love away from it. Coaches can be so toxic for your body, for your mental health. The power a coach holds over their athletes is so strong that sometimes it's hard to see the wrong. The 3 toxic traits I wanted to talk about today are coaches making their athletes feel like they're never good enough, never taking accountability for their actions, and running their athletes too hard. The first point is coaches making their athletes feel like they're not good enough. Self-worth is so important, especially in sports. When you don't feel good enough, that feeling tucks its way in your mind and is a frequent, negative, constant reminder that you'll never be good enough no matter how hard you work or how hard you try. If you don't have confidence or self-worth in yourself, then you'll never be able to play or perform 100%. When you do, though, it shines and everybody knows it. So a coach taking that away from you is just really not that good for you. Madison Trout wrote an article through Odyssey called The Coach That Killed My Passion, and she said, I had coaches that no matter how hard I worked, I never felt good enough for them. About a week ago, we had our first competition, and our coach took the alternates out of the routine for some other girls that were still hurt that wanted to perform. And she told them that they disappointed her and they disappointed our team and that they weren't good enough. And the severity of that is that one of the girls came crying to me in the bathroom asking if she disappointed me this week. And that's so hard to handle when it's not the truth. They're spitting lies to them. And that's so toxic. The second point is coaches not taking accountability for their actions. Accountability is responsibility. 82% of managers have limited to no ability to hold accountability over their employees. And if they can't be accountable for their employees, how are they supposed to hold accountability for themselves? A couple weeks ago, we had a game and the band was behind us and they were extremely loud. So the coach was talking to us and hardly anybody could hear her. I leaned over to one of the coaches behind me and started talking to her, and I had to ask her a question. And then our main coach completely screamed at me, yelled that I was disrespectful, and just outright embarrassed me. And it really hurt my feelings. So at halftime, I went to go talk to her and apologize for being disrespectful. And then she stops me and tells me that it's my fault for feeling the way that I do. And she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't say anything wrong. And it's just so hard to deal with that when you just want to hear, I'm sorry. The third point is coaches running their athletes too hard. Statistic is 30 million kids play sports, and there are 3.5 million injuries every year. And that came from the Johns Hopkins medical site. A lot of these injuries come from coaches running their athletes too hard. Over the past 4 weeks, we've had countless injuries, including concussions, tendonitis, fractured ribs. I mean, you name it, we've had it. And it's just because she's been giving no breaks at all. We never have a rest period for our bodies. And in the end, that's not really good for us. And so then when someone gets hurt, she just throws someone else in, whether they know what they're doing or not. And that's even worse for them because then they're more likely to get hurt as well. Overall, sports can become extremely toxic for athletes when coaches like this are present. Toxic traits in coaches include making their athletes feel like they're not good enough, holding accountability, and running their athletes too hard for their bodies to handle. In the world we live in today, it's so easy for others to ruin what you love. Now, knowing more about toxic traits in coaches, you know more about if you see a coach that you have to come in contact with, and if they act this way, you know you can get out of that situation because that coach will not be the best fit for you. Your coaches should be there to teach you, guide you, support you, and be able to be someone that you can trust in. If I heard this speech maybe 7 months ago, I would not be in the situation I'm in right now. And I wish I would have heard this sooner. But if you come across a coach that is not good for your body, mind, or soul, you need to get out because you should not let somebody else steal your joy. Thank you.